Before any plan is drawn, before any blueprint of action is designed, there exists a foundation that is often overlooked. This foundation is not external but internal. It is the energy that flows through thoughts, emotions, and actions. Too often, people begin with strategies, step-by-step guides, carefully calculated plans, systems borrowed from others, without first recognizing the state of energy that fuels them. A strategy may look flawless on paper, but when carried out with fragmented, drained, or misaligned energy, it collapses. Conversely, even a simple plan, fueled by clear and steady energy, gains momentum and produces results that far outweigh the complexity of its design. To understand energy before strategy is to recognize that what drives success, harmony, and growth is not the tactic itself, but the quality of the force behind it. Energy is invisible, yet it is the most tangible element of life. It colors the way we walk into a room, the way we hold conversations, the way we respond to setbacks. People may not consciously notice it, but they feel it. Strategy is a language of the mind, but energy is the vibration that communicates beyond words. When energy is unsettled, even the best idea lacks impact. When energy is clear, even silence becomes influential. This is why many leaders, creators, and thinkers appear to succeed without rigid strategies. They have cultivated an energetic presence that directs action naturally. Strategy then becomes secondary, a mere expression of a state of being that has already been tuned. Consider how often strategies fail because they are executed from a place of fear or insecurity. The plan is not the problem. The energy carried into the plan is what contaminates it. Someone may launch a project with the strategy of working harder, adding more hours, forcing discipline. Yet beneath this lies anxiety, desperation, and the constant whisper of not being enough. That energy seeps into every decision, every interaction, every attempt at progress. The strategy may look correct, but it is tainted by the energy of lack, and the outcome reflects this. Contrast this with someone whose energy is grounded, calm, and clear. They may follow a simpler strategy, but their presence, focus, and intention energize each step, and what unfolds appears almost effortless. To understand energy means to look at what fuels thought. Every strategy is born out of thought, but thought itself is powered by a deeper current. When the current is agitated, thoughts scatter, becoming reactive, shallow, and fragmented. When the current is still, thoughts align, becoming sharp, intentional, and sustainable. Many chase after strategies to fix scattered energy, but the correction must happen at the root. Only by tending to energy first does strategy gain coherence. It is like tuning an instrument before playing a song. Without tuning, no matter how skillfully the notes are arranged, the sound will not resonate. There is also the matter of alignment. Energy flows best when aligned with authenticity. Strategies often fail when they are borrowed, when they are designed to imitate rather than to express one's own natural rhythm. A strategy copied from someone else's success may work for them because it matched their energy, their values, their inner compass. But placed in another person's hands without alignment, it becomes heavy and unnatural. Energy must precede strategy because it tells us what is true, what is sustainable, what belongs to us. Without listening to energy, one ends up chasing strategies that create dissonance rather than harmony. In daily life, this understanding changes everything. Instead of asking, what strategy should I use? The question shifts to, what is the state of my energy? If it is scattered, the strategy will be scattered. If it is depleted, the strategy will collapse. If it is calm, clear, and steady, then even the most basic steps will carry power. This is why practices such as meditation, breathing, and mindful movement are not luxuries but necessities. They are not separate from productivity or achievement. They are the roots that nourish strategy itself. Without them, the tree of strategy grows weak, its branches snapping at the first wind of challenge. Energy is also deeply connected to intention. Before acting, ask not just what you are doing, but why you are doing it. Intention shapes the quality of energy that flows into action. If the intention is rooted in fear, no amount of strategy can disguise it. If the intention is rooted in service, clarity, or growth, then even imperfect strategies become infused with strength. To understand energy before strategy is to place intention before execution, alignment before structure, essence before form. What becomes clear is that energy directs strategy, not the other way around. When energy is steady, strategies arise naturally, almost without effort. They do not need to be forced or endlessly restructured because they are born from a place of inner coherence. But when energy is ignored, strategies become endless adjustments, constant restarts, and repeated frustrations. This is why some people spend years searching for the perfect plan, never realizing that the plan is not the issue. Their energy is. The greatest shift happens when energy is no longer treated as something secondary, as something to be managed after the strategy is in place. Instead, energy becomes the starting point. Align the breath, align the body, align the mind, and the strategy reveals itself. It is not that strategy is unimportant. It is that strategy without energy is lifeless. Energy before strategy is the art of building from the unseen to the seen, from the root to the fruit, from silence to expression, from presence to action. In a world that constantly demands speed, noise, and action, stillness is often overlooked, even dismissed as unproductive. Yet within the practice of inner stillness lies a power that is deeper than movement, stronger than words, and more transformative than action alone. The mind is like a lake. When disturbed by constant ripples, it cannot reflect the sky clearly. But when the surface becomes calm, it mirrors everything above it with precision and truth. Inner stillness functions in the same way. It allows you to see, to perceive, and to act from a place of clarity instead of confusion. Inner stillness is not the absence of life. It is the space where life is understood. It is not about suppressing thoughts, but about resting in the awareness beneath them. This awareness is often drowned out by endless noise, both external and internal. The external noise comes from the world, full of distractions and pressures, while the internal noise comes from thoughts, doubts, fears, and constant inner dialogue. When one learns to be still within, the chatter loses its grip, and the mind is no longer a restless master, but a quiet servant. The power of inner stillness lies first in clarity. When you are caught in turbulence, every decision feels heavy, every problem seems bigger than it truly is, and your energy scatters in multiple directions. In stillness, the fog lifts. Problems are not solved through panic. They are solved when the mind is steady enough to perceive the right path forward. In this way, inner stillness becomes the foundation of wise action. It is the difference between reacting blindly and responding consciously. Inner stillness also allows energy to accumulate. Constant movement of the body and constant wandering of the mind consume energy, leaving little left for what truly matters. Stillness, however, does not drain but replenishes. Just as a battery cannot charge while it is being used without pause, the human spirit cannot renew itself without rest in silence. In moments of stillness, energy gathers, and this gathered energy becomes strength. Strength not only for the body, but also for the mind and spirit. It is also within stillness that one can observe the patterns of thought that usually pass unnoticed. When you stop and remain silent within, you begin to see the repetition of your own mind, the stories you tell yourself, the fears that revisit you, the cravings that tug at your attention. These patterns run much of your life in the background, and without stillness, they continue unchecked. Stillness shines a light on them, revealing the unconscious habits that keep you bound. And with awareness comes the possibility of release. Furthermore, inner stillness is the gateway to balance. In the world, there is always motion, day and night, inhale and exhale, expansion and contraction. Yet balance exists in the center, between these opposing forces. To find balance externally, one must first find it internally. Inner stillness centers you so that whether life pulls you forward or pushes you back, you remain grounded. You become like a tree rooted deeply in the earth. Branches may sway with the storm, but the trunk remains unmoved. The power of inner stillness is not weakness, nor is it passivity. It is potential. Just as an archer pulls back the bowstring into stillness before releasing the arrow, so too must you draw inward before moving outward. The pause creates power. The silence gives birth to sound. The stillness prepares for movement. Every great action arises from a space of inner stillness, whether seen or unseen. There is also a profound connection between inner stillness and freedom. Much of human suffering comes from attachment. Attachment to outcomes, to possessions, to identities, to expectations. In stillness, one sees that these attachments are like chains forged by the mind itself. When still, you realize you are not the chain, you are not the lock, but the one holding the key. Stillness loosens the grip of clinging and reveals that freedom is not found in controlling everything outside, but in mastering the inside. Inner stillness opens the door to deeper intuition. Logic and reasoning have their place, but beyond them lies a wisdom that does not shout, it whispers. It is the quiet knowing that comes when the surface mind is calm enough to listen. Many times, the answers you seek are already within you, but they are drowned by noise. Only in silence do they rise, clear and undeniable. This intuition is not mystical. It is simply the natural intelligence of the mind and body revealed when given space to speak. Moreover, inner stillness brings presence. So much of life is lost to distraction, to worrying about tomorrow or regretting yesterday. But when still, you are drawn fully into the present moment. The breath, the body, the heartbeat, all are experienced in their fullness. And in that presence, life itself feels richer. Ordinary moments become extraordinary because they are finally seen without the filter of restlessness. Stillness is not about retreating from the world, but about engaging with it differently. When stillness is cultivated, actions become sharper, words more deliberate, and decisions more aligned. The world outside may remain chaotic, but inside there is order. And from that inner order, you can meet life without being consumed by it. The power of inner stillness grows with practice. At first it feels foreign, uncomfortable even, because the restless mind resists quiet. But with patience, stillness deepens. It begins as moments of calm between thoughts, then stretches into minutes of silence within, and eventually becomes a way of being. Then, even in the midst of movement, there is stillness. Even in the middle of sound, there is silence. Even while acting, there is calm. Inner stillness reveals that you do not need to chase power outside, for the greatest strength is already within. It shows that peace is not something to be found elsewhere, but something to be uncovered by pausing long enough to notice it. It demonstrates that clarity, energy, freedom, and wisdom are not gained through force, but through stillness. And in this realization, life itself takes on a new depth, a new meaning, and a new strength. In the journey of life, one of the most powerful realizations a person can come to is the clarity of self-value. This clarity does not arrive suddenly, nor does it come from external validation or temporary achievements. It emerges when an individual begins to see beyond the masks they wear, beyond the expectations placed upon them, and beyond the noise of comparison. Self-value is not a currency to be measured against another person's worth, but a foundation, an inner recognition of one's own existence as meaningful and deserving of respect. To develop clarity of self-value is to step into a deeper awareness where the approval of others no longer dictates the movement of your spirit. From an early age, we are often conditioned to look outward for worth. Parents, teachers, society, and peers hand us definitions of success, beauty, strength, and intelligence. When these external standards become our compass, our sense of self-value turns fragile. If the world applauds, we feel elevated. If it criticizes, we feel diminished. This cycle binds us to dependency, making us unable to see our value independent of outside judgment. Clarity begins when we recognize that value is not given by others, it is not withdrawn by others, and it does not fluctuate with opinion. It is already present, waiting to be uncovered, like the still water beneath the surface of a restless river. To see your own value clearly requires silence, reflection, and courage. Silence allows the inner voice to emerge, a voice that has been drowned out by constant noise. In that silence, the mind no longer clings to the world's opinions, and the spirit begins to remember its inherent strength. Reflection then becomes the mirror in which you examine your thoughts, your actions, and your beliefs. You begin to notice the invisible chains of comparison, envy, and insecurity. With courage, you question them. You ask yourself, why do I measure my value against someone else's achievements? Why do I believe that my worth depends on being more or less than another? Slowly, clarity arrives as these illusions lose their power over you. When a person lacks clarity of self-value, they live in constant negotiation with themselves. They accept relationships that diminish them because they do not believe they deserve better. They remain silent when their truth needs to be spoken, for fear that their voice holds no weight. They chase after recognition and exhaust themselves in the pursuit of approval. Without clarity, life becomes a mirror hall of distorted reflections, none of which reveal the true face of the self. This is why clarity is not a luxury. It is a necessity for living authentically. Clarity of self-value does not mean arrogance, nor does it mean the denial of faults. It is not the blind belief that one is perfect, but the grounded understanding that even imperfections do not reduce worth. Just as the moon has craters yet continues to shine, so does a human being carry flaws and wounds yet remain worthy of dignity, love, and growth. When you recognize this truth, you no longer allow mistakes to define you, nor do you allow others to use your vulnerabilities against you. You stand in the quiet confidence that your existence carries meaning beyond error, beyond failure, and beyond judgment. This clarity also transforms the way you interact with the world. When you see your value clearly, you stop seeking completion in others. You no longer chase relationships as a way to feel whole because you already know you are complete. This shifts your connections from dependency to authenticity. You engage with others not from a place of lack, but from a place of abundance. You no longer tolerate disrespect or manipulation because your inner compass knows that your value cannot coexist with degradation. The world around you begins to reshape itself, not because it has changed, but because you have changed the way you walk through it. Clarity of self-value also influences the way you pursue goals and ambitions. When the foundation of your worth is clear, you are not driven by desperation or fear of being less. Instead, you are guided by genuine purpose. Success becomes an expression of your inner strength rather than a substitute for inner emptiness. Failures become teachers rather than verdicts against your identity. You work with discipline and patience, knowing that your value is not on trial with every outcome. In this way, clarity becomes freedom. It liberates you from the exhausting cycle of proving and defending, allowing you to create from a space of inner stability. The process of reaching this clarity is not a single revelation, but a continual practice. Each day, the world will offer distractions, comparisons, and illusions. Each day, you will be invited to forget your value and trade it for fleeting validation. To maintain clarity, you must return to yourself repeatedly, grounding your awareness in the truth of your being. It requires mindfulness to catch the subtle thoughts of self-doubt before they grow into beliefs. It requires discipline to pause when tempted by comparison and to remind yourself that someone else's light does not diminish your own. It requires gentleness to forgive yourself when you falter and to remember that clarity is not perfection, but persistence. There is great strength in knowing who you are and what you are worth. This strength is not loud, it is not boastful, and it does not seek to dominate. It is a calm, steady presence that anchors you in the storms of life. It is the unshakable foundation that allows you to stand tall even when the world tries to bend you. With clarity of self-value, the noise of doubt becomes softer, the pull of comparison weaker, and the grip of fear lighter. You begin to see yourself not as fragments to be assembled, but as a whole already complete. And in this wholeness, you discover that the world can neither add to nor take away from the essence of who you are. Everything in this universe moves, nothing is ever still. Atoms, particles, frequencies, and waves, they are all in constant motion, shifting from one state into another. To respect the law of vibration means to recognize this truth and live in harmony with it. It is not simply a theory of science or a concept of philosophy. It is the foundation of how life unfolds. Every thought you carry, every emotion you nurture, every word you speak, and every action you take generates a vibration. These vibrations extend beyond your physical body and into the environment, influencing what you attract and what you repel. Respecting the law of vibration begins with awareness. Most people move through life unconscious of the energy they carry. They wonder why their experiences repeat in cycles, why negativity returns, or why opportunities never fully align. But vibration is impartial. It does not favor one person and deny another. It simply responds to the frequency that is being sent out. A mind filled with fear sends vibrations of fear, and life mirrors it back. A heart nurtured in gratitude radiates harmony, and experiences of harmony begin to appear. Respecting this law is about becoming a guardian of your own frequency, about realizing that what you send outward will always return in some form. The law of vibration also reminds us that stagnation is an illusion. Nothing is stuck. Even in moments when it feels as if life has paused, subtle movements are happening beneath the surface. Just like water, energy seeks to flow, and when you hold on to resentment, anger, or past wounds, the vibration lowers and hardens. Yet, when you release and allow the current to move, energy rises and transformation follows. This is why letting go is never weakness. It is the act of respecting the natural rhythm of vibration. To cling tightly is to resist the movement of life. To let go is to trust that what must flow away creates space for what must flow in. Consider your own body and mind. When the body is heavy with stress, the vibration is dense. The breath is shallow, and fatigue arrives quickly. But when the mind is calm and the body nourished, the vibration shifts higher, creating vitality and clarity. You cannot cheat vibration. Pretending to feel peace while carrying anger within will still transmit the anger. Vibration does not respond to appearances. It responds to truth. This is why inner honesty is essential. To respect the law of vibration means to face yourself with sincerity, to acknowledge what is truly being carried, and to choose the work of elevating it through awareness, practice, and discipline. Sound itself demonstrates the law clearly. Strike a drum and it vibrates. Pluck a string and it vibrates. Speak a word and the vibration ripples into the air. What many do not realize is that thought is no different. The silent words inside your head are also vibrations, carrying frequencies that shape your inner world first and then the outer one. When you dwell on doubt, the vibration of doubt lingers. When you nurture courage, the vibration of courage grows. Respect comes when you recognize that no thought is meaningless, no word is neutral. Everything you send out is participating in the web of vibration. This law also teaches patience. Vibration does not shift instantly. Just as a tuning fork takes time to resonate with the sound it receives, your life takes time to resonate with the vibration you project. Many people change their mindset for a single day and expect the world to bend. But vibration is like a river carving stone. Its effect accumulates with consistency. To respect the law means to persist, to align daily, to nurture the vibration until it becomes the dominant tone of your being. With time, the outer circumstances will inevitably begin to reflect the inner frequency. Silence and stillness are powerful tools in this process. To sit in quiet and simply breathe is not inaction. It is an act of resetting vibration. When the noise of the world pulls you in many directions, your energy scatters and your frequency wavers. But when you withdraw inward, you begin to stabilize the vibration. Like a pendulum, the mind finds its rhythm again. From this place, clarity emerges and the vibration rises naturally. Respecting the law means making space for silence, because silence is not empty, it is full of vibration at its most subtle level. Even relationships are governed by this law. You are drawn to people who vibrate at a frequency that resonates with your own. This is why certain environments uplift you while others drain you. To respect the law of vibration in this context means to be mindful of your connections. If you surround yourself with anger, gossip, or pessimism, your vibration lowers to match it. If you surround yourself with kindness, encouragement, and discipline, your vibration strengthens. Respect is also about discernment, choosing the vibrations you allow into your life, for they will inevitably shape your own. The law of vibration also aligns with growth. Nothing alive vibrates at the same rate forever. Trees grow, rivers flow, stars expand and collapse, and human beings evolve. To resist growth is to deny vibration, but to embrace it is to allow transformation. Every challenge carries a vibration that tests your own. Every obstacle pushes you to refine the frequency you radiate. Respecting this law means seeing difficulty not as punishment, but as opportunity to elevate vibration. The weight you carry can either sink you or sharpen your energy, depending on how you meet it. When you begin to respect vibration, life itself becomes a practice of tuning. You tune the mind with awareness, the body with discipline, the heart with compassion, and the spirit with intention. Like an instrument, the more you practice, the clearer your sound becomes. And just as an instrument that is in tune creates harmony with others, a being in tune creates harmony with the world around them. Vibration is the language of the universe, and respect for it is the first step in learning how to speak in that language. In life, the mind is constantly reaching, grasping, clinging. It clings to outcomes, to people, to the desire of being recognized, to the longing of being understood. This grasping creates a tension, a heaviness, and an invisible barrier that keeps what is sought always just out of reach. When there is too much attachment, the energy of life cannot flow freely. It is like holding sand tightly in the palm, squeeze harder and more slips away. But open the hand, let go of the strain, and the sand can rest gently without resistance. This is the essence of detachment, a quiet power that allows attraction to unfold without effort. Detachment is often misunderstood. Some believe it means indifference, coldness, or lack of care. But true detachment is not about turning away from life. It is about engaging fully without being enslaved by expectation. It is a way of moving through the world with clarity without being bound by the weight of what must happen. When one is detached, there is still love, still passion, still effort. The difference is that there is no desperation behind the action. The outcome does not control the state of being. The mind and heart remain free, even as they give themselves to the present moment. Attachment is born from fear. Fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of emptiness. The mind whispers, if I let go, I may lose it forever. If I do not cling, it might disappear. But in truth, the act of holding too tightly suffocates the very thing we wish to keep. It is like clutching a bird. The tighter the grip, the more harm is done. Detachment, on the other hand, gives space. It allows love to breathe, allows creativity to expand, allows opportunities to find their natural way to us. Attraction begins when there is openness. When a mind is restless, calculating, and constantly craving, it sends out waves of turbulence. This turbulence is felt by others. It pushes away rather than pulls closer. But a mind that is calm, grounded, and at ease radiates a different kind of energy. It does not need to chase, because it already contains a fullness. This fullness becomes magnetic. Just as water flows naturally to fill an empty space, life flows toward the individual who has created stillness and spaciousness within themselves. To detach is not to abandon desire, but to release the desperation hidden inside desire. There is nothing wrong with wanting. Desire is part of being human. It gives direction, fuels effort, and inspires vision. But when desire transforms into obsession, when it chains the heart with anxiety, it no longer uplifts but diminishes. Detachment is the ability to hold desire with gentle hands, to pursue without pressure, to walk the path without demanding that the destination appears exactly as imagined. In the practice of detachment, one begins to see that attraction is not something to be forced. The flower does not run after the bee, yet it is visited. The mountain does not shout for attention, yet people travel across the world to see it. The sun does not demand gratitude, yet everything turns toward its light. This is the way of natural attraction, effortless, unforced, and grounded in being what one truly is. When you release the tension of needing, you step into alignment with this same rhythm of existence. Many people exhaust themselves because they are chasing constantly. Chasing approval, chasing success, chasing love, chasing peace. They do not realize that the act of chasing pushes these very things further away. The more they reach outward, the less they are connected inward. Detachment reverses this. It redirects the attention back to the self, back to cultivating stillness, strength, and balance. And from this place, life begins to flow differently. The very things that once seemed elusive begin to move toward you because there is no longer resistance in your energy. Detachment also means trust. Trust in timing, trust in process, trust in the unseen intelligence of life. To detach is to recognize that you cannot control everything, nor should you. Control is an illusion created by fear. The truth is, life unfolds in ways beyond the comprehension of the mind. What appears as loss today may reveal itself as blessing tomorrow. What is withheld in this moment may return magnified in another. Detachment frees you from the torment of needing answers immediately. It gives you patience to wait, to allow, to receive when the time is right. When one practices detachment, relationships shift. Instead of clinging to others in need, one begins to share from a place of abundance. Instead of demanding love, one becomes love. Instead of fearing abandonment, one becomes secure in self. This kind of energy is deeply attractive. It draws people naturally because it carries no weight of expectation. It allows bonds to form that are rooted in freedom rather than fear. Detachment is also a discipline. It requires mindfulness, self-awareness, and the ability to pause when the urge to cling arises. The mind will resist. It will tell stories of scarcity and push you to grasp tighter. But with practice, you begin to see through these illusions. You begin to feel the spaciousness of letting go. The more you practice, the lighter life becomes, and the lighter you become, the more magnetic your presence grows. Detachment does not weaken desire, it refines it. It transforms longing into intention, desperation into focus, and impatience into calm persistence. It is the art of holding a vision in the heart without chaining it with fear. It is the quiet strength of knowing that what is meant for you cannot be taken, and what is not meant for you cannot be forced. It is a way of living that aligns you with the natural current of life, a current that always carries you toward the right place at the right time, if only you allow it to flow with the resistance. There is a certain kind of energy that comes when one chases, when one reaches out desperately towards something they desire. It is the energy of strain, of tension, of hoping that what you want will not slip through your fingers. This is the energy of the pursuer. In pursuing, there is often anxiety, a sense of lack, a subtle declaration that says, I do not have this, therefore I must run after it. And the more you chase, the more the object of your desire seems to move farther away, because pursuit creates distance. The act of pursuing confirms separation. But when you learn to become the invitation, the dynamic changes completely. Instead of running, you stand. Instead of grasping, you open. Instead of demanding, you allow. An invitation carries with it an effortless quality. Think of a home with doors wide open, light shining from within, the aroma of food drifting out, the gentle sound of music playing. Those who pass by do not feel forced to enter, nor are they chased after to come in. They are simply drawn to what already is, to the space that has been created. This is what it means to be the invitation in life, to cultivate such presence, such alignment, such openness that people, opportunities, and experiences feel naturally pulled toward you. When you are the pursuer, your mind is outwardly scattered. You think constantly about how to get, how to win, how to hold. But the one who is the invitation redirects their focus inward. They ask, what energy am I radiating? What frequency am I carrying in this moment? Because whatever you carry is what you attract. If your energy is frantic, then frantic things come to you. If your energy is calm, then calm opportunities appear. If your presence is magnetic, then people gather around it without needing to be persuaded. Being the invitation is not passive. It is not sitting back and waiting for life to fall into your lap. It is an active cultivation of who you are. Just as a garden must be tended, watered, and nurtured to bloom, your inner being must be shaped into the kind of energy that others want to be near. You do this through clarity, through intention, through practices that center you rather than scatter you. Breath, movement, silence, awareness. These are not luxuries, they are the very tools that help you radiate alignment. When you chase, you are telling the universe that what you seek is separate from you. You affirm lack. But when you embody what you desire, when you invite instead of pursue, you affirm wholeness. You say, I already am the frequency of what I want, therefore it comes naturally. A pursuer waits for validation from the outside. An invitation validates itself from within. The pursuer depends on external confirmation. The invitation creates its own confirmation by the way it exists in every moment. There is also a deep peace in being the invitation. To pursue is exhausting. It drains energy because you are constantly calculating, constantly adjusting, constantly asking yourself, what must I do to obtain this? This endless movement consumes your spirit. But the invitation requires no such effort. It requires stillness, clarity, consistency. It requires knowing your worth without shouting it, standing firm without running, allowing life to flow toward you because you have become a space where life wants to arrive. Consider relationships. When you chase people, they often pull away, sensing the imbalance of energy. But when you embody openness, kindness, strength, and authenticity, people find themselves drawn to you without needing to be persuaded. The same principle applies to opportunities, to growth, to abundance. Life moves toward those who have stopped chasing and have begun radiating. This is not an easy shift, because many have been conditioned to believe that effort and pursuit are the only ways forward. But the effort of the pursuer is different from the effort of the invitation. The pursuer spends energy outwardly, always grasping for what is missing. The invitation spends energy inwardly, building a state of being so magnetic that outward chasing becomes unnecessary. Both require effort, but one depletes while the other replenishes. To be the invitation is to trust. It is to trust that when you are aligned, when your inner state is clear, what is meant to come will come. It is to trust that you do not need to run toward life, because life itself moves in waves, and when your frequency matches the wave, you will meet it without force. Trust is not inaction. Trust is alignment with the deeper rhythm of existence, where things flow to you when you are ready for them. And yet being the invitation demands responsibility. If you want people to feel welcomed into your space, you must create a space worth entering. If you want abundance to flow to you, you must clear away the inner clutter that repels it. If you want love, peace, or wisdom, you must first become their embodiment. To be the invitation is to realize that you are always hosting the energy you wish to attract. Others sense it. Life responds to it. The universe aligns with it. The greatest masters of life were never the loudest pursuers. They did not chase recognition, followers, or validation. Instead, they cultivated presence so deeply that people traveled across the world to be in their company. That is the essence of invitation. It is not force. It is gravity. It is the quiet power of being so fully yourself, so fully aligned that what you desire cannot help but be drawn to you. So the question is never, what must I chase today? The question is, what am I inviting today? What kind of energy do I carry into the world? Because in the end, you do not attract what you pursue. You attract what you are. You become the center from which life is magnetized, not through force but through presence, not through pursuit but through invitation, not through need but through alignment.